Okay, let's see here. New game mechanic coming out. Wonder what this one's gonna be. Pendulum summoning. Okay, that's kind of a weird name. Let's see, how does this work? Monster spells. Special summoning face up from the extract when they get blown up. Massive special summoning from the hand and extra deck? What the hell, Konami? What have you done? You've destroyed the game. Now everyone can just special summon 5 monsters at once and just go off. Yeah, but if the opponent activates like a bottomless or a solemn warning, it's kind of all gone for nothing. Shut up! This is the end, man. This is the death. Yu-Gi-Oh's got another year or two. This is it, man. I quit. I'm done with this shit. Let's see here. New game mechanic coming out. Link summoning. Let's see here. Send specific materials to the grave. Place an extra deck zone. Then you can summon more extra deck monsters. Pendulum zones in the spell and trap cards. What the hell? What have you done, Konami? Now I can't spam the board. I can't set up massive back rows based around stun negation. I can't go ham and destroy my opponent. You also have to put a little bit more thought out there before you do go for that big end of game swing. Shut up! This is it. This is the death of Yu-Gi-Oh, man. Another year. I quit. I'm done with this shit. So, yeah, if you couldn't take the hint, I'm really starting to get annoyed about once again, what I'm seeing all over the internet. The reaction to Link summoning is, oh my god, the game is changing. I want to quit. Shut up! I am freaking sick and tired of this. Every 3 years, or something like that, every sort of 3 years, we get a new anime series and we get a new game mechanic, and there's usually some kind of new rule. Believe it or not, the Zale era was the only one that didn't really introduce any sort of new rules type thing to the game. Believe it or not, I know it's kind of crazy. But what I'm here today is not just give some in-depth thoughts on Link summoning. I really just want to talk about how I'm sick and tired of this elitist attitude of just because it's not the thing I use to topple YCS, or it's not the thing I love to use all the time, that it's bad. Now, don't get me wrong, if you read a summoning like Link summoning mechanic, or Xyz, or Pendulum, or Synchro, and you don't care for it, that's totally fine. Everyone has their different opinions, everyone prefers different ways of playing. I'm not gonna lie, when I first read Synchro summoning, I thought it wasn't that good, and honestly, even though I do like a lot of Synchro decks, I still think it's not very good. I think Ritual summoning is jack shit, but they figured out a way to make that top tier. But we'll get to that a little later. This video is mainly for the people who just will not shut up and honestly just can't get over themselves long enough to enjoy something new. So first up, if you haven't heard, Link summoning will be introduced next month in Yu-Gi-Oh! V-Reigns. The basic concept is that the game field has now changed. Gone are the pendulum zones, and gone is your ability to just turn one spam out extra deck monsters like a motherfucker. Also on top of that, it was announced today, you can't pendulum summon from the extra deck in a willy-nilly way like you used to be able to, i.e. the Pepe days of you blow everything up pre-pendulum summon and then just go ham with a big board. That has all completely changed. Basically, the way it will work now is like I described in the intro, you send the specific materials from the field to the grave, and then you summon the Link monster to what is now the extra monster zone, which is a monster zone placed above it. There will be 2 of these, you pick one, your opponent picks one. What's interesting, however, is that when you Link summon, the 2 extra monster zones are not specified to each player. So you can strategically place your Link monster where it needs to be for whatever combos you want to get off. If you couldn't sort of get the hint, I actually think this is a really neat idea. A lot of people have been complaining that there's not a lot of player interaction or strategy in the game anymore, and even though I don't completely agree with that, this is definitely a move in the right direction. This is going to be a very thinky mechanic. You need to think of what the board state is, where you think it can go, and where is the proper place to start putting your extra deck monsters. This is a great idea. As for the Link monsters themselves, you can also Link summoning by sending a Link monster with the number in the right hand corner, as well as the other appropriate material to the grave in order to put a new Link monster in that Link spot. This is also a great way to use monsters that might not necessarily be as useful anymore. You use the first Link monster to start your strategy going, and then put a new bigger one on top to continue it. This is a very strategic way of also reusing your monsters and using your monsters for continual. Now that Link Summoning is here, the game is going to slow down a little bit, but it'll definitely have a more longer pace to it. So you need to be able to think strategies out more instead of just, here's my ultimate boss monster. Now that Link monsters affect the entire way you put monsters on the board, you need to be able to go in and out of them quickly. I am so glad that such a mechanic is actually designed into them from the get-go. So that's really cool there. Link monsters also don't have levels and they don't have defense points. Let's be real here. Levels don't mean a lot of things anymore. The way you summon Link monsters is basically the way you summon Ultimaya Zulkin. Only now it is more mainstreamed for everyone to use, which is something I really enjoy about it. Everyone can do this. Everyone is going to have to do this too. This isn't like Pendulums where over the course of 3 years there were 3 top-tier Pendulum decks. What the hell? This wasn't the Pendulum era. This was throw all the shit against the wall and use whatever sticks era. This will definitely change the game for the better. On top of that, putting the Pendulum Zones in the back row is also a really great implementation as well. Because Pendulum Zones are now in the back, Pendulum players can't just make a full board and field like what Metal Foes have been doing lately and Cleatomize. Because the Pendulum Zones are now in the back row, you have to sacrifice defense for strong offense. And because of this, you Pendulum players really need to put more thought in it, something that should have been here from day one. So that is also great. On top of that, them not having defense points in exchange for just their Link number. Defense mode hasn't been relevant in 8 years. Who cares? Like, okay, they can't be Quaking, they can't be Book of Moon or anything like that. Whatever. Setting is a pretty sporadic mechanic as is right now. Quaking is the best one to do it. This at least means that a Quaking won't completely kill you, which I also quite enjoy. So basically, I really like this. I also like what this means. Now you can only extra deck summon. If you look carefully on the Link monsters, there are arrows pointing in different directions. You can only put monsters onto the field or extra deck monsters in those spots. You also can't pendulum summon from the extra deck unless you have those spots open as well. This is all really good additives in my opinion. This is all great. So what's the problem? Why are people complaining? Because they have to complain. This is ridiculous, people. For years, everyone has been complaining this game has been going too fast, that there's too much spamming, that there's too much degenerate manipulation and abusing of mechanics. This is literally a mechanic designed to slow this down, and I'm seeing this same reaction over and over again. It's not what I like, I'm gonna quit. My Quasar deck is dead. Your Quasar deck was never alive! Okay? Like, there's no argument here that is actually valid. There will still be ways for Metal Foes and Zoodiacs to play, just now you gotta think if you really want to play those decks. On top of that, here in the TCG, this stuff doesn't matter till the end of July. Okay, yeah, a lot of people are starting to wonder what does this mean for Worlds. Who cares? We still have the whole winter to go through. Trump's gonna kill us all before then. So I'm really just getting annoyed by all this. On top of that, this happens every 3 years. And not even with the introduction of like synchros. I remember when GX started, people in my elementary, middle school were like, oh my God, what is with all these archetypes, and why does everything only work with archetypes? People remember GX as the fusion one. It wasn't. It was the birth of the archetype really taking the mainstay in this game with the heroes and light sworns and gladiator beasts, those being the 3 main ones. But it's just like, no, this is ridiculous. People have got to stop. Like, every 3 years this game's changed. Hell, not even every 3 years, every 6 months. This game is constantly changing with new things being good, new things being bad. That is just the way Yu-Gi-Oh! Works. And just because every 3 years we get a bigger change does not mean that you should go on a crazy rampage and want to quit. This whole idea that just because it is different is stupid. Like, especially because me and my friends, when I got to my locals on Friday, some people were kind of annoyed. But most of us were just thinking of all the cool, fun ideas you can do with Link Summoning, because that's the point. If the game didn't change, it wouldn't be exciting. That is the nature of Yu-Gi-Oh! That's the fun of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I am really glad to see that we are getting something that not only changes the way the game is played, but puts it in a more positive direction. Now, duels won't just be 1 or 2 turns. And I'm sure they'll make Link monsters that'll be easily abusable and overly abusable. They always do. But the thing is that now there will be a bit more control and there will be more stability. Some people are like, oh, it makes the game harder to learn. If you're a new person going into the game and you have nothing to compare to, you'll be fucking fine. But yeah, that's kind of it. As for some of the stuff we've seen already, my big gripe is I don't like that they're blue, as I feel like that takes away from ritual summoning. I know it's not that big a deal. I've already made fun of ritual summoning in this video, but yeah, nah. I don't know. Just make them. I wish they were red or yellow, or hell, make them pink. Just don't make them a color you've already used. But other than that, nothing too much. I will say this. I am now convinced Decode Talker is not going to be, I still can't remember the new guy's ace monster. It'll be his early game ace, similar to Junk Warrior or Flame Wingman, which is really good as well. I don't like the idea that he has his ace from turn 1. I like the idea of building up to that next level of power, which I think is a really good idea. So we'll see where that goes. And honestly, yeah, no, I'm excited. This looks fun. And I also like the fact that decks that rely on the main deck will be viable. This won't be like when Synchros came out where everything before was a blowout. This won't be like X-A's where everything before that was a blowout. Like, no. Main decks like Cosmo and Blue Eyes, hell, even things like Mermails, Gladiator Beast, Lightsworn, all these older decks that rely a lot on the main deck and maybe not special summoning as much, now have a generic way to use it. Not every deck had room for pendulums, but every deck will have to make room for links, and that is going to lead to some really interesting deck ideas, and I really can't wait till we can start testing this out on DevPro, because I really want to try this out, because it really looks neat. But what did you think? In the comments section below, give me your thoughts on link summoning, what you think of all this, and if you're excited for a new era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I'm telling you right now, I am.